There was nothing remarkable about the train traveling from Glasgow. The 12 cars powered by a single diesel locomotive made up a mobile post office known as Special. It was carrying postal staff who sorted mail and packages en route to London, as it had done every night without incident for 125 years. It was completely unremarkable. That is until the night of August 8th. Not 8th, actually, hi. Jake, sir. X is last from the post.
Hello and welcome to Laughs from the Past, Season 8, Episode 5, I believe, and it's actually Season 9. It's all about heists. Coming to you live from the Roosevelt Studios here in the Bronx. It's rsblts.com. Jake, fantastic intro. If it was anyone's first time listening, they'd probably be like, what the hell is this show?
Did I click the right one?
August 8th, 1963 was the date you said at the end there?
Glasgow. Yes, August 8th, 1963. Fairly
The Great
recent.
Train Robbery, which both you and I kind of said, did we do this one already?
Right.
I feel like anytime someone robs a train, they just call it the Great Train Robbery?
Yeah.
Wasn't the other one
It's an easy title.
called the Great Train Robbery with Great Gold Robbery?
I don't think so. They just used
that
it.
burp smells
Oh,
terrible.
yeah, it should. That was a bang burp.
Jeez.
They did a lot of their work on a train, but I don't think they referenced it as the train robbery.
I feel like it was called the Great Train Robbery.
I mean, if we're doubling down on titles, producer crew is really in trouble.
Yeah, right? Well, anyway, I'm excited because I like heists and I like robberies, and every story has been pretty good so far.
The stories have been good. Easy to movify.
The last one was called the Great Brinks Robbery, and the one before that on the train was called the Great Gold Robbery. So they're
Gold
just-
robbery on a train.
So very similar.
Everything's very great.
The great
Everything's
blank,
so great.
The Great Blank Robbery is just how they name things. Okay.
They got to
Well,
rename these.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm assuming if we know of this,
the
the
Italian
people
job.
didn't get away. So, I mean, was it
Wasn't
really
that
that
great?
great?
Maybe. I guess that's what we got to get into. Credit to Maria Tremarchi from How Stuff Works. She did a lot. We're taking a lot from her article, I guess.
Thanks.
Here we go. That night, the Up Special was carrying a large amount of cash in its second car. You like the Up Special?
Yeah.
Made me laugh when you said it in
Yeah.
the intro, too.
Yeah.
The Up Special.
You were a big what's up, dog guy for a little bit.
No, I wasn't.
What's up, dog?
What's
In
up,
a
dog?
joking way.
What's up, dog?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. That was like
It's
10
okay.
years ago.
I'm sorry. Like, you would say it aggressively at people.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's up, dog?
Sup, dog? That's how I'd say.
Kind of in a fighting tone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that did make me laugh. Because, like, what's up special is I'm picturing you at a college party,
The Up Special.
like, almost wanting someone to think you're starting a fight with them.
The Up Special. It's a
Yeah.
weird special. It had a large amount of cash in its second car where registered mail was sorted. The amount was larger than usual because it had been a bank holiday in Scotland.
Huh.
At just past 3 a.m., near the Bredigo Railway Bridge in Buckinghamshire, England.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
That little tidbit at the start is such a classic movie tidbit that they mix into heist and stuff. Like, in, you know, the Ocean's 11 movie, they're like, well, it's a fight night.
Yeah.
So the casino has to have double the money.
Oh, well, that's
So this is-
just good heisting.
It's a holiday, so the bank has more money. And you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect.
You can't rob a bank on just a normal day.
Love having more money.
Maybe that's what you do. You rob a bank on a normal day. So there's
They don't even care.
maybe it's the
I
least
did
amount
that.
least amount of money they have. Oh.
What?
At just past 3 a.m. near the Bredigo Railway Bridge in Buckinghamshire, England, a gang of thieves pulled off a daring heist. They stole 120 sacks of banknotes worth 2.6 million euro, more than $50 million today, from the second car, a heist known today as the Great Train Robbery.
Okay. So if it's a gang of thieves, maybe we don't know who they are?
I think we have intros coming.
Yeah.
Few crimes or criminals captivate our imagination like the stories of the legendary outlaws of the American West. But the Great Train Robbery was one that did. It was the biggest raid on a train in British history, and it was the largest train heist since an 1855 attack on a train carrying gold bullion between London and Paris. The story even catapulted one man into a folk hero. Oh. So this upped the Great Gold Robbery. We already did that story.
Thank God.
With the bullion gold.
They're building
Dude,
it up.
your burps are awful.
I was going to say I had another one, and I thought it might get over there.
I mean, that's awful.
I mean, I'd blame myself, but it's clearly this energy drink I'm having.
Blowing the other way or something?
I think the air's blowing this way, so you're downstream.
They smell like hot dog burps.
I haven't had a hot dog in too long.
It's
now I'm
crazy.
interested.
Cops, robbers, prison escapes, and plastic surgery. It could be a tale lifted from a Hollywood movie. So who were the men who pulled off the Great Train Robbery? ?
Plastic surgery is a fun plot twist. You wouldn't think we're at that point in 1963.
I'm guessing they wore fake noses.
Okay, I like that early.
Or they had plastic surgery afterwards to change their appearance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. That was
cut off their noses?
I forget if I mentioned it on here. One day, Jess was watching Unsolved Mysteries, and I forgot it was Unsolved Mysteries. It ended, and they were just like, so if you have any tips, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
But the final scene was like, yeah, he's a pretty average-looking guy that can also grow out his facial hair, so he could really look like anybody right now. And I was like,
if you see him,
that sucks.
It took 15 men to pull off the Great Train Robbery of 1963. Along with a few accomplices. The cast of criminals included Bruce Reynolds, Douglas Gordon, Goody, Ronald. Is Goody just one guy?
So I think Douglas Gordon is Goody.
Okay, usually you put the nickname.
I think there's a space there.
Usually you put the nickname in between the names, like Douglas Goody Gordon, Ronald Buster Edwards.
Yeah, you thought Ronald had double nickname for a second there, which would have been pretty nuts.
Charlie Wilson's War. Ronnie Biggs, Roy James, Roger Corddry, Tom Wisby, Jim Hussey, Bob Welch, Brian Field, Leonard Field, Jimmy White, William Ball, and John Daly.
Okay, early returns on the name. We got brothers, so we like that.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Balloon Boys.
How many guys do we have here?
Well, 15,
1,
right?
2, 3.
It said it took 15 men to pull off the Great Train Robbery.
15 guys.
15, yeah, nice.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Who do you like? Who's your early?
Ronnie Briggs. Oh, Ronnie Biggs.
Ronnie Biggs.
Yeah, that's a great
Ronnie
name.
Biggs is kind of the layup.
Yeah. Their accomplices were known as Mr. 1, Mr. 2, Mr. 3. Peter. Brought to drive the train. So Mr. 1, Mr. 2, Mr. 3, Peter. Could have named that guy Mr. 4 if you wanted to.
We had a good numeric thing going on.
And John Weeder, who secured the safe house.
Okay.
Interesting. Although no one is certain who first had the idea to rob the mail train, Bruce Reynolds, a burglar and antique dealer in London, is known as the mastermind.
Always gets me when that's in their title. Like if it was antique dealer and burglar,
yeah,
that would take you by storm.
Maybe he robs antiques. I don't know. After ending a stint in prison in 1962, Reynolds began to assemble his crew. He started with his own men, the Southwest Gang, and chose gang member Gordon Goody, a London hairdresser and part-time thief, to be his number 2. So you got an antiques dealer and a hairdresser.
Okay. I was just taken back by that. I mean, wouldn't it be barber? Not to do, like, sexist stuff, but...
Maybe he's not a barber. Maybe he's a hairdresser.
He's a hairdresser.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't disrespect Goody like that.
I didn't hear a lot of that in 1960s Britain.
Well, he's cutting female hair.
Right.
As the details were worked out, it became clear that the Southwest Gang wouldn't be big enough to pull off such a large-scale robbery. The 3 guys? But as both Reynolds and Goody were good friends with former boxer-turned-club owner Buster Edwards,
Here we go.
leader of the Southeast Gang, it was decided the 2 gangs would work together. So the Southwest and the Southeast gangs. Well, they just call them the South Gang.
This is almost already becoming unrealistic. like the antique dealer, you're like, okay, that kind of makes sense.
Hairdresser.
Hairdresser, a little bit of a turn, but sure, seems like a fun character. And now you're bringing in the nightclub boxer turned nightclub owner?
Yep. That adds up.
It adds up, but I mean, the cast of characters, we're 3 deep into 15, and it's already like, whoa.
Through his contacts, Reynolds obtained the train's details, its schedule, the amount of cash it would be carrying in the car it would be in, and the number of workers on board.
Huge.
After learning the payload would be greater after a bank holiday, the next being on August 5th, 1963, Reynolds tapped into an insider, known later in the media as the Ulsterman, to find out which day the train would be carrying cash to London. The date was set. Okay. So now we have an Ulsterman.
Yeah. The insider.
Reynolds had his men, information about the train, and a date, but he needed to figure out one last detail. How to stop the train.
It's a big one.
It was Roger Corddry, an associate of Buster Edwards, who came up with that answer. Just as we encounter stoplights when we drive cars, trains also rely on signals to know when to proceed and when to stop. Green means go, amber means slow, and red means stop. Corddry proposed he fix the signals. Using black paper and leather gloves, he would cover the green signals as their chosen spot, and using batteries and wire, he would turn on a red signal. Okay, so a little bit of the Italian job here, messing with the street signs.
I mean, do you need to cover the green signals if you have the abilities to turn just the red light on?
Well, maybe you don't want the red and green on at the same time.
Yeah, I mean,
Seems like he doesn't have the ability to turn the green off.
he can turn everything on. He can't turn things off.
You could just break it with a hammer.
The glove, I mean, I'm glad they were thinking of everything, but it feels like a slide over thing.
It feels like you'd rather just smash the green light with a hammer than get like a glove to tape black paper over it. But well, I don't know shit.
Sure. Good for them.
It was time.
Ooh.
The men lay low at Leatherslade Farm. Their safe house, drinking beer and playing Monopoly while they waited for the date the train was scheduled to
How
pass by.
fun of a movie scene is that?
That's great. That's a good movie scene. That's, I mean, fighting over the railways, maybe. Get it?
Yeah, I get that. I'm trying to think. There's a lot of corny ways you could go with it.
Did you get what I said?
Yeah, the railways.
In the movie, you clearly have something happen in the Monopoly game that foreshadows what's about to happen.
Yes.
Like whatever sinks this plan, there's a foreshadowing tiny element in the Monopoly game beforehand.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is yet, though.
Okay. We'll think about it.
Early on in the morning of August 8th, the men struck. They cut the phone lines at the emergency call box near the tracks. And as they waited for the train to appear, a confident Reynolds lit up a Monte Cristo number 2 cigar. The train approached just after 3 a.m. and stopped at the red signal Corddry had fixed at Sears Crossing. The train's driver, Jack Mills, was hit on the head while trying to discern what was happening. He was the worst injury of the heist.
Okay.
That's good, nice of them.
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, a knockout still isn't great, but
Maybe, did they say he got knocked out? He just got hit in the head.
while trying to discern what was happening. Yeah, I guess I made a little assumption there, but I mean, I don't think it was just a tap on the head.
Little boop.
I don't think he got booped.
Boop, we're robbing
I think he
you.
got bonked.
Boop,
I
we're
think,
robbing
I
you.
think he got bonked.
Roy James and his team uncoupled the engine and first 2 cars from the train. When Peter, in quotes, because that's his
Right.
alias, you got number 1, number 2, number 3, and Peter. When Peter, the gang's designated driver, was unable to move the train, he was tossed off and the injured Mills was forced to drive the train 1.5 miles. So he wasn't knocked out because he had to drive the train. It was a little bonk, a little boop.
He was bonked because it sounds like this other idiot couldn't do it, so they had to shake Mills loose.
Yeah. Wake up, dummy. You got to drive this train.
We're sorry we knocked you out.
Yeah.
Please drive our train.
1.5 miles they had to go to the designated unloading spot, Bredego Bridge. There, they removed 120 sacks containing 2.5 tons of money, brought it back to their safe house, and divvied it up. It took only 15 minutes for the men to execute the operation. Would it take a game of Monopoly to undo them? Wow. Hey, hold up. Why do they need 15 people for that plan?
It's a great question. I don't know.
Sounds like a 4-person job.
The number seemed high anyways. I mean, Peter ended up being useless.
Probably because he wanted his own alias. You know, if Peter's the type of guy that's like, call me number 4, sure, he's great. But he's like, no, I don't want to be number 4. I want to be Peter. That guy's going to fuck up.
Wonder if it's a numbers game. Like, hey, if we keep our identities hidden, maybe they'll catch 4.
I don't get it at all. Like, they needed the guy who could rewire the stoplight.
Right.
Then from there, you need like 2 other dudes.
I mean, the most important guy is the guy to drive the train, and
this
he
could have been a
do it.
2-person job.
I mean, you're unloading bags, and you got to transport them. I think 5 would have been the right number.
Max.
Like max.
Yeah. 15 people. What did they all do?
15 felt extreme.
And they were all playing Monopoly? None of this adds up.
Doesn't add up.
The investigation. Just 2 days after the robbery, the Flying Squad was created from the best detectives of Scotland Yard and was charged with finding the criminals behind the Great Train robbery. This robbery is not great.
Things were so dramatic.
The Great Train robbery?
The Flying Squad?
They rigged a stoplight and then bonked a dude on the head. It was the easiest robbery of all time.
For all of these movies, whenever they introduce the chief detective and I'm excited about them, it's Tom Hanks in my head.
Oh, okay.
Just because I have him as from Catch Me If You Can.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he gets this role.
All right, well, let's see. Detective Chief Superintendent Tommy Butler, known around Scotland Yard for his professionalism and thoroughness, was assigned to be the squad's chief. Among the team of detectives was Jack Slipper, a tall man with a pencil mustache who would become a household name for his work on the case and his cat-and-mouse chase with Ronnie Biggs.
Chases.
Jack Slipper and Ronnie Biggs. Is it time to look up what these people look like?
Is this a big joke?
Yeah, this
Just all the names and everything that happens feels like we're going to get to the end and Noah's like, I hate you losers.
Noah is the guy. Noah helps us writing these things. All right, the pictures aren't that cool, so I'm getting off of them.
Okay.
The Flying Squad. The Flying Squad is the name of the outlaws, not the detectives. Just let whoever named everyone know.
Right.
Like, the detectives don't get a nickname. They're just called the detectives.
I kind of like it, though. I've got this movie being pretty hokey in my head.
The whole thing seems hokey.
Yes. But, like, you're absolutely right. When you start naming the detective group, like, you've become the bad guys. Yeah. Everyone's now rooting for the bad guys.
The Flying Squad sucks, too.
It's not a good name, either.
The Flying Squad's first break in the case came 8 days after its investigation began. A suspicious vehicle was reported at an old farmhouse about 30 miles from the scene of the crime. The old farmhouse, Leather Slade Farm, was the same one the men used as their safe house. Food, sleeping bags, and bedding were found in the house, along with the banknote wrappers and post office sacks.
Okay.
Fingerprints were found on a bottle of ketchup and on the Monopoly game the men had played with some €1, €5, and €10 notes they had stolen. They were playing with real money?
I mean, I guess so. I mean, that's kind of fun.
Have you ever done that?
No. But
you
if
need
I
a lot of money.
If I just robbed a train, I think I would.
That is kind of fun.
That's a lot of fun. These guys are dumb. How are people leaving the bank bags?
Yeah, it's twice now we've seen the bank bags.
Feels like a giant miss.
Burn those.
Burn those immediately. Maybe get rid of the sleeping bags and bedding. I don't know.
Within a day of the discovery of the fingerprints, well, the Monopoly game was left out like half played, so maybe they ran away from the safe house.
Yeah.
Within a day of the discovery of the fingerprints, Roger Corddry was arrested. In a week, Charlie Wilson was arrested in London, and police were on to Bruce Reynolds, Jimmy White, Roy James, and Buster Edwards. Biggs' fingerprint was found on a bottle of ketchup in the safe house, and he was arrested. What? Why is this called the Great Train Robbery? This is the most elementary story so far.
Idiots. Yeah, there's probably a nice scene where, like, someone thinks about throwing out the ketchup, and then they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ronnie Biggs, Charlie Wilson, Tommy Wisby, Jim Hussey, and Bob Welch were all sent to Bedford Prison to await trial. While in prison, they learned that Goody had been questioned but let go for insufficient evidence. However, several weeks later, he too was arrested, charged, and sent to Bedford. 2 months after arriving at Bedford, Biggs was planning his escape but would have to wait. The group was transferred to Aylesbury prison and security was tight. During their time at Aylesbury, they learned evidence against them was strong, and Biggs again began to plot escape, but he was foiled when one of his friends got cold feet. By December of that year, John Weeder, Brian Felds, John Daly, and Roy James were arrested. James in a spectacular chase across neighborhood rooftops before his capture. Bruce Reynolds evaded arrest until 1969.
I've got a couple questions.
One more. 12 of the 15 robbers were eventually caught and brought to trial, but how were they sentenced and did they escape? Listen, what's your question?
What did any of these other guys do? John Daly, who's a name known very well in the sports world, golfer with that name, who's a bit of a booze hound. I've seen his name twice in the story. None during the robbery.
Dude, I don't know what any
just
of them
like
did.
a couple times they've just listed names.
How did they have enough evidence? Like, how does the fucking flying squad?
They're the best.
Yeah, they found the
They found the fingerprints at the perfect crime scene.
Well, if you're the flying squad, like, you got to be like, no way, they're like, once
Flying
you find
squad sucks.
once you find 5 guys, why are they continuing to look? Like, if you're the flying squad, how are you like, this was a 15-man job? There's more out there. If you find the first 3, you're probably like, those 3 did it.
So I think America needs to build up their reputation a little bit before doing this, but I'm assuming it would be like a good old Jackass skit going into this town in London and wearing like the Flying Squad sucks shirt and just watching people like, what? They're heroes.
The flying, how did
They stink.
This whole story stinks. I'll be honest. Dude, the flying squad has like a Wikipedia page. Oh, the flying squad is still.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh no.
Oh, we've got like what do we have? We got people trying to carry on the flying squad that aren't flying squad quality.
No, it's just still like we may have like our Scottish listeners maybe mad.
They're pissed at us right now.
Like the flying squad is very much still like, look at these most recent pictures of the flying squad, Scotland Yard's elite anti-robbery force.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think if America didn't suck right now, I could see the flying squad prank being good. Let me see how. I've got one Scottish connection.
Do you have a Scottish connection?
I got connections.
Are you going to ask them what's up with
Yeah.
the flying squad?
Yeah.
All right, well, here's the trial and aftermath. Like the question leading to the next paragraph, how were they sentenced? Probably because they had all the fingerprints and shit?
They had all of the evidence that they left behind. Gotcha.
Here's what it says. Because the gang had planned to escape the Aylesbury prison, they were watched closely until their trial began. On January 20th, 1964, they appeared before Justice
Unlike those other prisoners that are just having a blast in there.
They appeared before Justice Edmund Davies at Buckinghamshire Assizes.
Ass sizes.
Ronnie Biggs, Tommy Wisby.
Oh, my God.
Stop making me name all of the dudes pled not guilty. Roger Corddry was the only man to plead guilty and gave back his share of the money, 80 euro.
Ooh, so that's interesting. Let's say you get looped in all this.
Yeah.
There's, you grab 35 of your best friends and rob a train.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're playing a big game of chicken and they tell you, like, hey, here's the deal. Nobody's fessing up. We know all you idiots do it. We have the Monopoly game. Like, you guys are idiots. If they tell you, like, hey, 3 months parole, a year parole, you give the money back, and, like, that's it. You're clear. Like, are you caving?
Yes.
Okay.
Easily.
I was going to say, I mean, I'm wondering what Corddry got here. Because if it's just giving back the money and starting clean, like, you got me.
Yeah, sure. How do you still have it somewhere to give back?
That's kind of impressive.
2 weeks into the trial, evidence surfaced that showed Biggs had a criminal record. You mean the guy in jail for robbing a train? Fearing this could sway the jury,
Yeah.
the judge halted the trial and ordered Biggs to stand trial at a later date. What? Of course it would sway the jury. Like, not only had this guy robbed this train, he's robbed trains before. Like, he's done criminal activities before. Why is the judge protecting Biggs? Maybe I don't get how Scotland works. The trial went on for months and included testimony from bank officials and the train driver, Jack Mills, who took the stand and told the story of the robbery and the injury so severe he wasn't able to continue working. He continued working like 10 minutes after.
It was a bonk. Clearly a bonk.
John Daly, who was implicated because his fingerprints were found on the Monopoly game, was acquitted during the defense proceedings in March 1964. His lawyer petitioned that the fingerprints could have been on the game prior to it being at the farm. Well, couldn't everyone have said that?
Yes. I mean, maybe he's got an alibi or something, but I was going to make that joke. Like, what if...
I played Monopoly with them 2 weeks ago.
There were 12 guys. They robbed the bank.
Ronnie brings that board everywhere.
And then they were playing Monopoly after, and John Daly's just a fiend for Monopoly.
Gotta play.
You boys are playing? Yeah.
On March 25th, 1964, the jury found all of the accused guilty of conspiracy to rob, and Tom Wisby, Roy James, Charlie Wilson, Bob Welch, Jim Hussey, and Gordon Goody were found guilty of robbery with violence. Only one could have hit the dude.
Yeah,
it's
but
like
they're
they
all working together.
Like they all took turns hitting him in the head. Sentencing wouldn't be set down until Biggs' retrial. However, which was scheduled for April 8th, 1964. His retrial only took 7 days, and the jury swiftly found him guilty.
Yep.
Oh, good job, Judge, by not swaying the jury.
You did it.
On April 16th, 1964, sentences were handed out by Justice Davies, who was heavy-handed due to the violence against Jack Mills. The men received 30 years apiece with few exceptions. John Weider, who arranged the safe house, received 3 years. Okay, so we know what John Weider did now.
Fair.
Roger Corddry received 20 years.
Slightly less.
So he turned in the money for that?
I mean, it gets even...
William Bull received...
was the money guy? Oh, what an idiot.
Right, wasn't it?
Yes. 10 less years?
Yeah, he could have given that to his, someone, wife or kids or something like that.
Figure it out, man.
William Bull received 24. Brian and Leonard Field each received 25. After appeals, Corddry and Bull's sentences were reduced to 14 years each. Okay, so there you go.
14 from 30.
And Brian and Leonard Field each had their sentences reduced to 5 years. So, dude, the guy who gave back them... I mean, the Fields brothers only got 5 years, and they didn't even return the money. Corddry returned the money and got 14 years.
Okay, could you tell me what the Field brothers did during the robbery?
They were the balloon boys.
I think the bank did the same thing, or the lawmen.
Buster Edwards, Bruce Reynolds, and Jimmy White were all found guilty and jailed by 1969. Edwards fled to Mexico, but turned himself in 3 years after the crime. After 5 years on the run, the mastermind Reynolds was captured and sentenced to 10 years in prison.
10 years? He was the mastermind. Seems backwards.
The robbers were placed in prisons across the country, and in August 1964, Charlie Wilson, incarcerated in Winson Green Maximum Security Prison, was the first of the gang to escape. He was recaptured in 1968. Biggs was sent to Wandsworth Prison, Britain's version of Alcatraz. Only 15 months after arriving at Wandsworth, Biggs escaped in a furniture van and became Britain's most notorious fugitive. He underwent plastic surgery to disguise his face and fled to Australia and eventually Brazil, where in 1970 he settled in as Michael Haynes. I don't know, let's go check out this plastic.
That's pretty wild. Dude escapes their version of Alcatraz and gets plastic surgery?
I mean, their version of Alcatraz is not Alcatraz. You know what I'm saying?
It's Azkaban.
This is the last picture of Ronnie Biggs. He's just happy as can be with the Princess Diana shirt on.
Having a blast.
What was the plastic surgery?
New face, man.
I'm trying to see.
I mean, I think you need to read the rest of this because it kind of...
Okay. Biggs evaded return to the UK for more than 3 decades amidst attempts to extradite him. Once in 1974 when Slipper showed up at his door, and again in 1981 with a kidnapping attempt by British ex-military. In 2001, an ailing Biggs, the man who had almost gotten away with it, voluntarily returned to the UK to serve the remaining 28 years of his sentence in Norwich jail for elderly inmates. He outlives his rival, Jack Slipper, who passed away in 2005. The renowned Monopoly game is on display at the Thames Valley Police Museum.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I'm going to Google that. I mean, that's a tough break for fucking Jack Slipper.
He turned himself in.
The other guy turned himself in when he didn't want to take care of himself anymore.
Yeah. I'm old.
Weird.
Got to live in an elderly inmate prison? I mean, is that basically a retirement home?
Yes, he just was like, hey, I don't want to take care of myself anymore. I mean, the Monopoly game is just a Monopoly
Can't
game.
be great, yeah.
Just a picture of a Monopoly game.
Okay. We got lost in this one a little bit.
I got a lot. I don't really love it. I got so many questions.
Couple characters. Give me your questions, and then we can move.
What did everyone do?
Oh, nobody will ever know that. That'll never be known.
I really like Ronnie Biggs.
I mean, this feels like an 8-man job max, and they basically doubled it.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to find out what Ronnie Biggs did to plastic surgery, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what everyone did. I don't know. They got caught in the dumbest way. I mean, how was this Ronnie Big guy so smart? You know what I mean? Like, he was smart enough to escape Britain's Alcatraz and live, but he wasn't smart enough to, not play Monopoly?
Okay. I've got some fun stuff that we could start mixing into the movie. The movie's almost impossible because we have to field 2 football teams of characters, but I'm going to do my best.
Or just cut half of them out.
I mean, the biggest plot twist you could possibly put in here is having the train driver in on it.
Yeah.
Like, he gets whacked, and then maybe there's a character that could have whacked him again, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
And then everyone's almost like suspect then, but then they need him to drive the train, so he's like, that's why I didn't fucking whack him.
Okay. I mean, I don't know where you go.
There's just too much going on.
Don't play Monopoly?
I mean, Ocean's 11
has a lot going on.
So that's the thing. I mean,
the robbery was, let me remind everyone.
Right.
They just put up a stop sign and then hit the driver on the head.
The driver on the
head.
All
they did.
They disconnected the train at one point, which that's something.
Yeah. Okay, maybe you need a couple guys for that. I don't know.
You had the original guys that made the plan. You needed a safe house, so they brought in a guy. Yeah.
Yo, listen to this story.
No, it would have been nice, and this isn't anything on the producers, but when you roll 15 deep, clearly 5 to 10 of these guys were a lot less important.
Yeah.
We needed that mentioned, and then them never mentioned again.
I don't know. I don't believe a lot of it.
Okay.
It just doesn't add up. Nothing adds up.
Okay.
Check this out. Revealed. UK's bizarre mission to grab Ronnie Biggs on flight to Cuba. So this dude, John Slipper, whatever his name is, made it his mission to catch this Ronnie Biggs guy.
Yeah.
The police hatched an audacious plan to ambush and handcuff him in midair as he flew out from his South American hideout. Did you burp again? Is that me? You?
I think that one was you.
Maybe it was me. It smells terrible in here.
Okay.
Dude, so in 1974, a couple years later, they tracked Biggs to Rio de Janeiro.
Right.
9 years after escaping from prison. So Jack Slipper greeted Ronnie Biggs in the Copacabana Hotel with the line, "Long time no see, Ronnie."
Mm.
But Farcically, Detective Chief Superintendent Slipper failed to follow the correct procedures, and an application to extradite Biggs was refused by Brazilian authorities. I mean, this Jack Slipper dude's a sad sack.
He sounds like the guy that would be part of the Squirrel Club or whatever they renamed
He was
exactly.
Like
he was the
he
king.
was like the main guy.
Exactly. It adds up perfectly.
Like, he caught him, and the Brazilian government was like, nah, we don't know. He can stay.
How did you not follow any procedures on this?
That's crazy. I like Ronnie Biggs. That's it. That's final.
Yeah, I mean, if we're moving it, Jack Slipper sucks. Big time.
Yeah, you're rooting. You know what this is? It's like Ronnie Biggs, and then I was going to say something I can't say.
Yeah, it felt mean. Yeah. Great train robbery movie.
Like, Ronnie Biggs is the only one with a brain, and he had 14 other people that he got from, like, the brainless community center. Like, let's plan this robbery. And it's like a true mastermind.
Okay.
Like, he sets up the Monopoly board, right? And he has them all play. And then he leaves the Monopoly board. Like, they're like, let's clean it up. And Ronnie's like, no. And he leaves it. And then he's like the true mastermind. Otherwise, this is just kind of boring.
Jim.
Yeah.
Our brains weren't wrong.
Okay.
The Great Train Robbery
Yeah.
was the name of the movie about the other robbery on the train.
The Great Gold Robbery, they named the movie The Great Train Robbery.
Yes, because they knew it would sell more in Europe because that's already famous over there. Maybe I made that part up, but I don't know. It makes sense.
It does make sense. Unlike this story. But it's good. All right. Well, I think that's that one.
Any movie characters jumping out for you?
No.
The Monopoly scene could be a blast.
Yeah.
You can have some real fun with that.
There's too many people. You need to cut the cast in half. And, like, the robbery lasts 15 minutes. You almost, if you make this a movie, because there was no planning. There's no prep.
You almost don't tell people it's a robbery movie.
No, you almost.
It just accidentally
The first
happens.
10 minutes is just the robbery.
Okay.
And you get it over with. Like,
Yeah.
Because it's not really, like, it wasn't anything cool.
You could do some cool stuff. Again, we had some ridiculous characters at the start, so you have the coming together. But again, you just needed a third of the people.
Yeah. The
And
Monopoly scene's good.
Then you do the robbery, and then you do the chase a little bit, and then he checks himself into the prison.
The big story's better. Like, this story is about Ronnie Biggs and Jack Slipper.
Yeah.
And the opening scene is the robbery. And then the part two is and then the first act is the robbery and the trial. And then the second act is him in jail. And then the third act is he escapes jail. And then the third act is just on the run. And maybe this time when they try to arrest him and he just loses. You got to make the movie about Ronnie Biggs and Jack Slipper.
There's just so many people.
You got to get rid of all those people. No one cares about it.
15?
No, there's too many people. It didn't make any sense. All right. Thank you guys very much for listening. This was Laughs from the
Is
Past.
their name the Squirrel Squad?
Didn't you text someone about it?
Yeah. The
Did they-
Up Special.
Did they respond? The Flying Squad. They respond?
I texted, so it's an old coworker of Jess's.
Yeah.
So I texted Jess, can you ask your Scottish friend from your old job about the Flying Squad? And she replied, I'm going to need more than that. Which is fair.
Yeah.
It's fair.
She should have just said no.
Yeah.
Nope.
Sounds good.
All right. See you guys. Little Laughs on Thursday. Goodbye.